Okay, is everything coming?
Do thumbs up? Did you do thumbs up?
I did, yeah.
Okay. This is delayed, so we're probably on, but
Okay, I'd like to welcome everybody to the meeting of the Cumberland Town Planning Board for Tuesday, May 16th, 2023. Six of us are here. George Turner is not here at the moment. I'm looking for a motion to approve the minutes of the April 25th, 2023 meeting.
So moved.
Hear a second?
I'll second.
Any additions or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed? It's approved.
I'll abstain.
Yeah, we have one abstention. We have no staff site plan approvals. We have no minor change approvals. So we'll get into the hearings and presentations. And the first one is a public hearing for a site plan amendment review for a replacement barn at Springbrook Farm located at 168 Greeley Road, tax assessor map R04, lot 32. And the owner is Springbrook Farm LLC, and the representative is Jeff Story. So Carla, can you lead us off on this?
yes. Mr. Story is here tonight, and he can certainly answer any questions you have. He came in to see me about replacing a barn. He was able to get a USDA grant to replace a barn that I have a picture up there. It looks like a main barn, maybe fine the way it is, but he's got the funding to do that, and because of the size of the barn, it's over 5,000 square feet, it required coming to the planning board. I've done some staff reviews of minor projects that he's done on the farm. He's constantly improving it with new buildings and such, but this one needed to come to you.
So Jeff, do you have anything you want to say?
Not necessarily. I answer any questions. I just
Okay, why don't you come to the podium so the public can see you? Okay, we'll go to the board. Have any questions?
Not me.
Yes, Ann?
Yeah. Could you explain exactly what this barn is? Because I was confused as to whether it was just manure storage or whether there were going to be cows in it.
Sure. So it's a combination of both. What this project is doing, it's similar to what we put in across the street last year. Part of the barn holds manure and part of it holds cattle. The goal of all this through the USDA is dirty water runoff elimination. So by putting a roof over all of it, anytime it rains and runs off, then that is contained and dry. So our old methods was scraping out concrete pads, hauling it out in the back side of the property, close to the Twin Brooks edge, stockpiling it until we can spread it on the fields in the springtime, summertime. So what this does is allows us to store it inside and then haul it from there onto the fields. So we eliminate handling it twice. We eliminate the runoff, number one, in the area where the cows stand, and number two, in the area out back of the property where we stockpile at this time. So it's helping in that direction. So the answer to your question is 1/3 of it's storage for that manure area, and the other 2/3 of it is designed for the size we're at now is 30 cows with calves is going to be housed in this building.
Great, thank you. And one more question about it. I was a little confused about fire protection, but if there's cows, you probably do have fire protection, right?
Not sprinklered or anything like that. I mean, it's an open concept. The front is all open. There's just trusses with metal roofing on top of that, so there's nothing enclosed above. So there's obviously no residential, no human occupants. It's cattle. So in the event of a fire, we'll open the gate and we'll be chasing 30 cows for the next couple hours after that, I hope.
Okay, and that's best practices then with cow barns?
Yes. As far as I know, I've never, I mean, I think because it's not insulated or anything like that, any type of sprinkler system, you'd have a hard time keeping it from freezing for half the year and all of that, so.
Other questions from the board? If not, at this point, I'll open the public hearing. If there's anyone from the public that wishes to comment on this project. And seeing none, I will close the public hearing and turn it back to the board. I see we have no waivers that are requested, so what's the wish of the board?
I will make a motion that we waive the reading of the findings of fact.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? So I guess we can, there's one condition of approval. Christina?
You've voted to waive them, but you have not voted to accept them yet.
Okay, so I'll,
Thank you, Christina. I will make a motion that we adopt the findings of fact as written.
Seconded.
moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? It's adopted.
I will make a motion that we approve a site plan amendment for a replacement barn at Springbrook Farm located at 168 Greeley Road, tax assessor map R04 lot 32, subject to the limitation of approval, the standard condition of approval, and the single condition of approval.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Seconded, moved and seconded. Further comment? Then all in favor? Opposed? It's approved. Congratulations, Jeff. Good luck.
Thank you all, much appreciated. As soon as I can get this across with Carla and Bill, I'll be starting on it, so you're welcome to watch us build, so thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to the item number 2, which is a public hearing and a site plan review for LGC Clinical Diagnostics located at 221 US Route 1, tax assessor map R02, lot 10A, to add a half-acre solar array with 1.57 acres of perimeter fencing and a 170-foot-long gravel access drive. The applicant is Todd Anderson, Senior Vice President of Operations, LGC Clinical Diagnostics. The representative is Ken Costello, RLA, of SMRT Architects and Engineers. And the owner is LGC North America. Carla?
Yes, this application came to the planning board last month for site plan review, and it was tabled pending a site walk, which the planning board held last week. The main concern was the extent of buffering that was proposed, whether it was adequate or not. The site walk was held and a butter attended. I believe he's here tonight. And Ken Costello has some plans to put up on the screen for you.
Any questions of Carla? Then we'll introduce the applicant. If you could introduce yourself, please.
Is Carla right in here? Carla?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, right there.
Again, my name is Ken Costello. I'm a registered landscape architect in the state of Maine, and I work for SMRT Architects and Engineers. I can't see what that says. Again, thank you all. As we walked the site last week, and just wanted to kind of go through where we are. Today we had a lot of discussion regarding the buffering and the waiver request for the Route 1 design guidelines of 75 feet to keep the solar panels 25 feet from the property line. As we walked through the site last week, I mentioned that there is a wetland along Route 1 in the ditch. So we have the fence line and outside of the wetland, and we have landscaping on the street side of the fence line. We were able to, working with the solar company that's doing the project, we were able to work with them to pull the fence back a little bit further on the southwest side, down in this area here, where we did not have room between the fence line and the wetland line to get landscaping in. So we're proposing a full landscaping all the way across the Route 1 side of the project. Outside of the fence, that landscaping is shrubs and will grow to 6 to 10 feet tall. We don't want to go any higher than that, because then we start shading the solar panels, as I mentioned on our site walk. The other modification to the landscape plan is the addition of 4 evergreen trees on the east side of the property, near the shed, near the abutters. So, and our intention would be, as part of the plan, would be to field locate those with the abutter, to locate those plants, to buffer the view that the abutter was concerned with. So this is a close-up view. You can see the green wetland area. This gray line across the top of the page is actually Route 1 pavement. So, we're quite a ways off the pavement line. The property line runs right down the middle of the swale. And then on the upland side, on the LGC property, we have the orange fence line where we've jogged it here at the southwest corner. And then we have a full line of landscaping shrubs along that property line. This is the location over by the shed. This is the shed here, this little purple box, showing the 4 evergreen trees. And again, just with the note to field locate. And this is a photo rendering of the full landscape of the shrubs. And again, the fence line is proposed to be 6 feet tall. We need to have it 6 feet tall for electrical code based on the electrical output of the solar array. And then, so you see the plants there, they're all shown around 6 feet right now. They will get higher than that. They will get higher than the fence. But again, we have a full planting of shrubs along the fence line. And this is the proposed fence. We had a lot of discussion on site whether it was going to be a slatted fence or a agricultural fence. This is a picture of the agricultural fence. You had asked me to get you a picture of that, and you can see how it looks around a solar field on the right-hand side. Those are steel posts. They're driven into the ground, and this is a galvanized steel fence, 6 by 6 squares. And just an example of the shrubs that are proposed. Most of them are flowering, except for the evergreen tree, and they'll provide some habitat, some tree, some food sources for birds. And again, it's intended to be not a manicured look. It's kind of look the more naturalized, and keeping in with the wetlands that are out there right now, and the growth of shrubs and trees along the stream just to the south of the property.
So, questions from the board?
During the site walk, I thought you had mentioned that the plants couldn't go over 8 feet, so now you're saying they could go to 10?
They're going to go to between 8 and 10.
Yeah. And the plants will partially hide the agricultural fence?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
But eventually they'll cover the entire agricultural fence.
Because to me that, and thank you for sending those photos, because that really helped me, at least. I think it's not a very attractive fence for Route 1, but with plants in front of it, I think it would certainly be acceptable and eventually possibly not even know it's there. And I really think seeing the solar panels to the degree shown and what I would expect is acceptable. I've mentioned during the site walk and at the last meeting, I can't find anywhere in the Route 1 design standards that we need to totally or even partially hide solar panels. So to me, that's a much improved plan on your part. Thank you.
Thank you.
Other questions from the board?
I don't think I have a question so much, but I want to tell you where I am right now, and maybe that will change in 5 minutes, but I don't think I would support a waiver to 25 feet at this point. I don't think that the use that's visible with the combined with the buffering, and I appreciate you doing what you did to be able to buffer it the full length to the extent possible, and I think if that was at 75 feet away from Route 1, I would be fine with it. But I don't think I can support giving up 50 feet of the design standards. I don't think it meets the intent of those standards, and I don't know how I would consistently apply those standards, in my mind at least, with future projects. So I'm happy to hear arguments against that, and I just want to let you know where I'm at.
Thank you. May I respond?
Chair, sure.
Fine with me.
So also, there has been a waiver on the building. The existing building was waived. So the existing building is within the 75 feet.
Yep. I'm not saying we don't waive things. I think we often, I mean, we waive the requirement for noting trees 10 inches in diameter pretty consistently. It isn't, I mean, I think it is all, you know, I think when I look at waivers, I'm looking to the intent and the spirit of the ordinance, and I mean, we waive things often based on the characteristics of the site and the project. I'm just telling you, in this case, I'm not sure I can support a waiver. I am only one vote.
Any other questions or comments from the board?
So maybe a comment to kind of draw a little bit more of the conversation. So having done the site walk, and thank you very much for that, and then seeing the revised plan of moving those panels back and allowing for that landscaping down at that southern end. I guess when I see this in terms of whether or not to allow the 25-foot buffer versus the 75-foot, looking at it from kind of a systems perspective, I was looking at the property in its entirety and looking at how well the wetlands are being protected, how well we are now able to buffer along Route 1. And then I'd also be curious to hear from Mr. Wheeler if you are feeling much more comfortable also about the buffering for your property. And I think those things in their entirety, if they all come together, it feels to me that this would be the time that I would vote for allowing that waiver.
Any other questions, comments from the board? Yes, Ann?
Yeah, I just have a question about the evergreen trees.
Yes.
Are there any of those that are going to be between the fence and Route 1?
There are no evergreen trees. It's all deciduous shrubs. It's proposed, and again, we're looking at to maintain the height. We don't want to get too high on that side of the property, and that's the issue with finding the right species without having to go out there and trim them and create a hedge. We're looking for a more naturalized install.
And are you already using some of these bushes on your property? Because you have, the property is very beautiful, that is.
Yeah, these actually were selected more for their native kind of habitat where they're being located. You know, the landscape that's at the building itself is very extensive, but it's also highly maintained because it's an office building.
Gotcha, yep.
Any other comments from the board? If not, I will open the public hearing for any members of the public that wish to comment. Please come to the podium and.
I don't think I have to, I just have a.
No, can you please come to the podium because the public would like to hear from you.
Yeah, Harvey Wheeler, the abutter. I just have two very quick questions. A, are the trees the 4 trees that you mentioned, are they going to be mature trees or
6 to 8 foot.
6 to 8 foot trees? And would I have any input into where they're placed?
Yes.
Very good, thank you. I'm feeling a lot better about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other members of the public that wish to speak? If not, I will close the public hearing. And I guess that we need to address the waiver.
Yes,
So-
I will make a motion that due to the unique characteristics of the project and the property, that we waive the requirement for a 75-foot buffer from Route 1 and change that to 25 feet.
I'll second that.
Further discussion? Being none, all in favor? Opposed? It's, the waiver is approved, so I guess we can go into the findings of fact, and Lorraine, would you like to go through those for us?
Yes, I'm gonna,
Was she forewarned?
Yes. Good.
going to start with utilization of the site. The area to be used for solar panels is currently an undeveloped meadow. It is relatively flat. The area has delineated wetlands, and the solar panels will be located so as to minimize the impact to these wetlands. Based on the above findings of fact, the planning board finds the standard of this section have been met. Next section is traffic circulation and parking. And there are no proposed changes to the existing entrance, site circulation, parking areas, or pedestrian ways. A gravel access drive from Powell Road will allow access to the array as needed for maintenance and repairs. Based on the above findings of fact, the planning board finds the standards of this section have been met. Stormwater management and erosion control. The stormwater management plan was prepared by SMRT. The town engineer has made several comments regarding stormwater management that need to be addressed either before approval or as a condition of approval. Is that still a true statement?
I believe so. I think we should have it as a condition of approval.
Okay. Erosion control measures have been described in the application, and the plan has been reviewed and approved by the town manager. Based on the above findings of fact and with the proposed condition of approval, the planning board finds the standards of this section have been met. Water, sewer, and fire protection. There are no changes to the above utilities or the fire protection plan. Based on the above findings of fact, the planning board finds the standards of this section have been met. Water protection. The site is not located within the town aquifer protection area. Based on the above finding of fact, the planning board finds that the standards of this section have been met. Floodplain management. The project is not located within a special flood hazard area as identified in the latest FEMA flood maps. Based on the above finding of fact, the planning board finds the standards of this section have been met. Historic and archaeological resources. A letter from the Maine Historic Preservation Commission was submitted for the original site plan review in 2012. It showed that the development would have no impact on historic or archaeological resources. An additional finding letter dated 12/22/22 stated no historic properties would be affected by the proposed project. Based on the above finding of fact, the planning board finds the standards of this section have been met. Exterior lighting. No new exterior lighting is proposed. Based on the above finding of fact, the planning board finds the standards of this section have been met. Buffering and landscaping. Landscaping to buffer the view of the proposed solar panels was proposed for the initial review in April. A planning board site walk was held on 5/9/23. A revised landscape and buffering plan has been provided. Based on the above findings of fact and the proposed condition of approval, the planning board finds the standard of this section have been met.
Lorraine, can I just interrupt
Yes.
for a second? Carla, is
Yes.
that proposed condition of approval in regards to the evergreens and your placement? Your
Yes.
Thank you.
Is that, before we go, is that standard condition number 6?
Standard.
Because there was one added before that. We've got 4 right now, so what is,
Well, the fourth one is the one regarding the town engineer. The third one is regarding the installation of the trees, which is what we were just talking about, or
Okay.
Josh was asking about. So I think we're good so far.
okay, well, I thought you had had 4 before we even started.
Yep, and the first 2 is regarding a pre-construction conference and a performance guarantee.
Okay, and so the number 3 is the,
Installation of trees to be planted to buffer the Whitney property.
okay,
in Field located with the homeowner and town planner present.
okay.
And then,
And 4 is what?
oh, I'm sorry. Christina's asking about the stormwater. That would be covered under the town engineer.
Are
That-
normal.
That's why.
Okay, so we're at 3 and counting, correct?
4.
4?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
continue.
Noise. The solar panels will not generate noise that would affect neighboring properties. Based on the above findings of fact, the planning board finds the standards of this section have been met. Storage of material. There are no proposed changes to the storage plans. Based on the above findings of fact, the planning board finds the standards of this section have been met. Capacity of the applicant. Technical ability. The applicant has utilized SMRT and Owen Haskell to prepare the plan and supporting information. Financial capacity. The project will be self-funded. Based on the above findings of fact, the planning board finds the standards of this section have been met. And then do I need to go through each of the Route 1 design standards?
I don't believe you do. Where they are highlighted in yellow are all relating to the buffering and
Right.
landscaping. I think a general finding at the end that
Well,
states, go ahead.
How do we want to? Has the applicant seen these findings of fact? I'm not.
They were emailed to them.
Okay. My only concern is I think in a little bit of the back and forth, there was a question about the maintenance of the buffer, and in these findings of fact, it is, the finding includes the fact that the applicant will need to maintain those plantings, correct?
Okay. Certainly, that is required.
Okay, and I'm just making sure the applicant knows it and doesn't want to raise an issue with that at this point, if we're not going to read the findings of fact.
So what you're saying is that I would just do it as another condition of final approval, that the.
I mean,
Sure.
it's in, I don't think it has to be a condition of approval, because it's in,
He's aware of
Okay.
the requirement, yes.
I'm good with it.
So is the board good with waiving the findings of fact with the Route 1 design standards?
So it would be specifically pertaining to the ones that are currently highlighted in yellow and marked TBD
Yeah,
as the
how
ones
about if
we're
we do
concerned.
this? I'll make a motion, we waive all the unhighlighted findings of fact, and we read the highlighted versions.
Okay.
Because I think we're also gonna have to address the landscaping one, because we're gonna have to add language about subject to the waiver, the board finds, because there's language in there about the 75 feet.
So let's move to the yellow
I'll second.
highlighted
I'll
one.
second that.
Yeah, second, discussion, all in favor? Okay, so let's go and.
The highlighted.
The highlighted
Okay.
ones.
Okay, the first one that I'm reading is buffering and screening. Service areas should be screened to minimize visibility from sensitive viewpoints such as Route 1, nearby residential dwellings, public open space, pedestrian pathways, and building entrances. Landscape screening may consist of evergreen trees, shrubs, and/or planted earth berms. Architectural screening may consist of walls, fences, or shed structures and should complement the design of the main structure through repetition of materials, detailing, scale, and color. Where plantings do not survive or where they grow to a point where they no longer serve as effective screens, they shall be replaced or supplemented to meet the intent of the plan as approved by the planning board.
So I think now you can, given the buffer, I think, in the revised plan, my opinion is the board finds the section, the
Standard has been
The
met.
So
section
the
has been met.
finding would be yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, finding is yes. Okay. The next one is landscaping. Where there are trees in the 75-foot buffer, and is this where, Josh, you think we need to
Yeah, I
say
think we're probably just gonna have
25-foot?
to adjust this to, based on the waiver, the 75 feet shall be, shall become 25 feet? I mean, how do we?
That could be your finding. Yep.
Okay. So I'll read as written, and then we'll address the finding. Where there are trees in the 75-foot buffer between Route 1 and the building, existing healthy trees should be maintained in their natural state. Where there are few or no trees in the 75-foot buffer, the buffer area should be landscaped either with trees or with flowering shrubs, fencing, or such architectural elements as stone walls. Where plantings do not survive or grow to a point where they no longer serve as effective buffers, they shall be replaced or enhanced to meet the intent of the improved plan. So now the finding would be a
I think it
condition
would
of
be-
approval?
No, I don't think it needs to be, subject to the approved waiver, the 75-foot reference shall be changed to 25 feet. Does that
I second that.
seem to fit? I don't think it's a motion. We're just doing the finding.
Can you make that motion, please?
So Christina, you have that? Okay.
Yes.
All right.
So are we good with that?
Yep.
Okay. Buffering of adjacent uses. Objective, buffering or screening may be necessary to effectively separate quite different land uses such as housing and office or commercial buildings. Plantings, earth berms, stone walls, grade changes, fences, distance, and or other means can be used to create the necessary visual and, is that psychological separation? Okay,
Physical, I think, is
okay.
probably
I
what
was-
they meant.
It is psychological separation. Okay, appropriateness. The section of the proper type of buffer should result from considering existing site conditions, distances to property lines, the intensity, size, number of users of the proposed land use, and the degree of concern expressed by the planning department, planning board, and abutting landowners. Discussion regarding the need for buffers and appropriate sizes and types should begin at the sketch plan stage of review. So this finding is TBD. Do we change that to yes? Thank you. Design. Buffers and screens should be considered an integral part of the site and landscaping plans. Stone walls, plantings, fencing, landforms, berms, and other materials used for buffers should be similar in form, texture, scale, and appearance to other landscape elements. Structural measures such as screening walls should likewise be related to the architectural or the architecture in terms of scale, materials, form, and surface treatment. Finding is yes. Maintenance, where plantings do not survive or where they grow to a point where they no longer serve as effective buffers, they shall be replaced or supplemented to meet the intent of the plan as approved by the planning board.
I would add a finding with yes below
Yes.
that. and we'll do
Yeah, I
that in
didn't
the
see a
minutes.
finding there, so that would be yes. And I think that's it for the highlighted.
There's only just one on signage.
And that's been met, so.
Yep.
I highlighted that because it referred to all the below standards, just that
So-
for
changes being proposed to the signage.
So
Okay.
are we ready to adopt the findings of fact?
I will make a motion that we adopt the findings of fact as amended.
A second.
Have a second? Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Those are adopted.
I will make a motion that we approve site plan amendment for LGC Clinical Diagnostics located at 221 US Route 1 Tax Assessor Map R02 Lot 10A to add a .5 acre solar array.
So we don't,
Subject to-
Subject to the standard conditions of approval, the limitation of approval, and the 4 proposed conditions of approval.
okay, do I hear a second?
Second.
Sorry, Carla, and I forgot to ask, but I did check. I don't see any other. I think those 4 proposed cover everything we discussed.
I think so.
Okay, so we move and second. I just want to say, this one really caused me a lot of consternation, and I must say, that I agreed with a lot of Josh's comments. I just, one of the things I've learned at 40 years in this business is that precedent sometimes comes back to bite, but I think that I really appreciate you coming back with the revised buffering, because I think if that hadn't done, I probably wouldn't, and very reluctantly, and probably had the wrath of the public down on me, but that I wouldn't have been able to approve that if you hadn't made the changes, because buffering is just a very, very important thing. So thank you for the site walk. I know it was very difficult because you had to go through some machinations with your engineers and everything, but I think at the end of the day, the right thing was done, and you've got the approval. So if anybody else doesn't have anything to say, we ready to vote? All in favor?
Wait,
Yes.
real quick, number 3, it says Whitney property. Should it be Wheeler property?
It should be.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, after all that, we want to.
Sorry, I want to
want to take care of this guy.
Then we got you covered.
Okay, so all in favor? Opposed? It's it's approved. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we're going to move on to our third item, which is a public hearing, a site plan amendment review for the Grange Hall Pub at Longwoods Preserve to revise building, parking, shed, bathroom locations located at 76 Longwoods Road, Tax Assessor Map R03, Lot 6A, and Map R03, Lot 13, 76 Longwoods Road. The owner is Synergosity LLC. Representative is Jeffrey Reed, PE, from CV and Mahar Engineers. So Carla?
Actually, Jeff is unable to be here. He's at a meeting in Cape Elizabeth and was hoping to get here in time, but he's sent a replacement. Mr. Bennett is here from CV and Mahar to answer any questions that you might have. Or are you going to give a presentation? Okay.
Before, can I ask Carl a question? Could you just timeline explain?
Yes.
I mean, there were a lot of new fact findings here that how this happened since our last mean, what's happened since our last approval?
Yes.
As Jeff Reed's application letter, cover letter explained, a couple of things were done after the approval between then and now that were not according to plan. And so tonight's meeting is an attempt to formally accept those changes as being the new plan, if you wish, and a couple of additional items that have been requested. It's not typically how we like to do things. We have an applicant this time around who I think is tried very hard to bring a very novel concept to fruition and perhaps hasn't been as cognizant of how town rules and processes work. So we're trying to work with him tonight to make everything correct and move forward.
Thank you.
You guys hear me okay?
Yes.
So I'm Brandon Bennett. I'm here with CV Mahar Engineers on behalf of Synergosity, and we have the owner, Alex Timpson, over here as well, so we'll be able to answer some questions at the end. I kind of want to give a recap of exactly what is going on out there, as well as what was previously approved, and we'll look at some design changes of some tweaks we made, and I'll have some comparisons for you. So kind of what was already approved is the farm-to-table restaurant. It's a brew pub. There'll be some farming area around. We have about 55 acres of conservation space that'll be used for trails, farming, that kind of thing, to keep a really good natural buffer between everything. All that natural landscape is said to remain. There won't be any changes to that. Once again, we'll still be on well and septic and have overhead utilities. The upgraded road, we'll be using the exact same route. Nothing will change on that. We're using an existing road that was there, upgrading it 20 feet, making it work. No location changes are to that. Noise pollution, everything, nothing of that nature will change. That once again runs with the use and also the buffering. So this is kind of our site overview. I kind of want to point out that the property is set back quite a bit. The structure is. You can see where that existing road actually runs over, that no changes will be made to it. You can see no landscaping or anything else is going to be changed. And it's just kind of tweaked a little bit. We'll continue to move on. So some of the proposed changes, I'll go over this in the next slide as well. So some old and new comparisons. So we're going to move a dumpster location, seasonal bathroom, as well as walkways will be reduced and moved a little bit to keep impervious area down. We'll have a new service pathway from one side to the other, a brick oven, an outdoor brick oven, and a walk-in freezer will be added. It'll be on skids so we can kind of move it if need be during seasonal times. New signage and some stormwater grades were made to be adjusted during the turning of the building. So when we were out there to go check some grades, we noticed that the building was off a little bit, so we made some adjustments to it. To your left, you have the approved, what was approved recently last year, and what is proposed. I want to point out that the roadway to the right is probably your best way to tell how much that tweaking change has been. Anywhere between 5 to 20 feet, rotated a little bit. Keep in mind that roadway has not changed at all. So that's kind of your starting point. So to point this out, you can see the dumpster has actually moved more from the southern part of this photo to the, from the northern part to the southern part. You can see parking spaces were actually moved. Please keep in mind that the amount of parking spaces are actually identical. There's no more, there's no less. The parking lot was shifted slightly to our, kind of turned counterclockwise, as well as grading was made to match in seamlessly with the natural landscape, and stormwater will actually match what it was before. We ran HydroCAD calculations and found out that pre and post had come up the same, since the impervious area is still under an acre and the change is fairly minor. You'll see that the walkways from your left, you see it kind of wraps up on the right side of the building, has kind of been eliminated a little bit, and they've been reduced to 5 feet. That still works. And an 8-foot pathway to the left side of the building has been added for servicing and other such things. Additionally, you'll see a propane tank right up over here that was added, and this is the walk-in freezer. As you can see on the old one, there's nothing there. Additionally, snow storage has been changed to be able to work better with the site design, so we don't have any issues in that regard. Over here, we have our brick oven that you'll see that's outdoor, and we also have our seasonal bathroom, which is over here, compared to the old one that's over here. So we just pretty much went from right to left with most of the stuff, as you can see. The service pathways, as you can see, changed quite a bit over here. We just brought them down, squared it up a little bit. More snow storage. Once again, the dumpster area moves from here to here. You can see we just kind of flopped that area. In regard to anything else, everything else has pretty much stayed the same. The building design has stayed the same, footprint, that kind of thing. The outdoor area, the seating, nothing of that nature has changed. So in that regard, I'm open to any questions you guys have. I'm here with Alex Timpson, as well as I believe the people that are going to be farming the land. So if there's anything regarding that, because I know there's a lot to do with the conservation area, that nothing is really changing on this.
Questions from the board?
Oh, that 12-foot, the new pathway, that is gravel, right? On my left.
On your, is it this one? I'm sorry. We're backwards. Is it this one?
The 12-foot wide service path, is that gravel?
I'm sorry, this is 8 feet wide. Maybe I said 12, I mistaken.
Oh,
but
it's
yes.
12 on my drawing, sorry.
Yes, it's gravel. It'll be impervious, and I counted it as part of impervious.
Did, okay.
So I also did this balancing act when I removed a lot of this. Obviously, you can see this is less. It only goes up to this area, as well as I made it narrower. So the impervious area kind of works its way out, balances pretty nicely.
Okay, and is that bathroom, the seasonal bathroom, is that plumbed or is that a composting toilet?
It will go into the actual septic system. That's was approved kind of, I believe, last December. We went from 2 septic systems to 1.
Okay, because you've got the campsites going on too, so.
And that was also approved during the privy shed was approved in last summer.
It was. We just moved it from the right side to the left over here. And yes, it's piped right in.
Okay.
And you can see that on the utility plans. We made minor adjustments to make it work if needed underground.
Paul?
Yeah, in the document we have, there are a couple things that I don't remember seeing before were the campsites, the buildings. There were 4 different sizes, I think. And then one of the diagrams had the septic in the woods, and I'm presuming you're cutting trees and putting in that's where the new septic's going. But, and then there's an
that whole piece of the application's been withdrawn. Anything to do with the campsites shouldn't have been shown on the final plan. I think they were removed.
Okay.
That's something that the applicant's looking to do in the future, but it's going to require some ordinance work on our part to allow that. So for tonight, the only changes that you're considering are the ones listed under section 3 that are listed there. There's 10 items that should be
Okay,
addressed.
that helps.
Yep.
Thanks.
Other questions from the board? Okay, yeah, Josh?
So there was, oops, I minimized and, in the list, you speak about the plan was updated to reflect the septic system modifications previously approved. So are there any additional septic system changes that you're requesting now, or is that just sort of an update and that was approved as a minor?
It was an update, so we haven't changed anything in this regard.
Okay, so there's nothing from the minor staff approval?
Only the piping for the bathroom. That's it.
Great, thanks.
Any other questions? Carl, I have a question of those 10 things that we're reviewing tonight. How many of those were done, and this is an action to post-approve something that's been done?
The first one, which is the approval of the pub building location change and associated patio, parking areas, walks, and other site features, that's been done, and that needs to be approved. The approval of the relocated dumpster, that's to be done, correct? Relocation of the seasonal bathroom and storage shed is to be done.
Correct.
Walkways east and north of the building reduced to 5 feet wide. That's done or to be done?
To be done.
To be done, okay. The fifth one is an 8-foot wide gravel service path added around the western end of the building.
The only thing that really changed out of this whole thing was the building, and you could see some construction areas. So the building adjustment or alignment was really the only change. Everything else was,
So you're saying the 8-foot wide gravel path was what was already there?
it was not there.
It's not there.
It's
So that is
proposed.
something that's a proposed change, okay. Addition of outdoor brick oven to the west of the building,
It's proposed.
proposed. Walk-in freezer,
Proposed.
1,000-gallon propane tank,
Yeah, it'd be proposed.
okay. And why, I must be really excited about the outdoor brick oven because I've looked at it twice. Take off number 9, outdoor brick oven.
The propane tank was on the original thing, but it was originally in the garbage corral.
Yeah, it was moved away, but now you'll see it's a minimum of 10 feet off the walk-in freezer.
Okay.
Uh,
And so I'm striking number 9, and then the last one is the grades at parking areas adjusted to direct stormwater runoff directly to the southeast.
Yep,
Been done or to be done?
to be done.
To be done. So
I-
really, the only thing that was done that needed to be corrected is the first one, the shifting of the building.
Clarification. I'm sorry, Carla, but maybe I have the wrong document. There are 12.
Yeah, I think the one on, because I got mine off the website.
So there are
In that
12.
app.
9 is the 4 campsites. 10 is exterior
no.
signage.
We don't, yeah, we don't have the updated documents.
Oh,
So we see all the
Okay.
campsites and all the plans include the campsites that I just
That's why-
downloaded
that's
it
why I
again.
asked.
okay. We apologize. Somehow you did not get the updated plan. I was wondering when Mr. O'Clair was speaking about the tent sites, how you even knew that, because
Yeah, we all looked at, I read
Oh, I-
campsites and we see plans for the buildings. and the
I apologize. So the original plan set that was submitted at the time of application deadline showed the tent sites.
Well, that's one thing we are used to working without. The only reason I'm bringing this up is when we did the last approval, the road was done
I
prior
see.
to our approval.
Yep.
Now we come to this, and we have something else that's been done and we're correcting. I think it should be noted that, as you saw in our first 2 presentations tonight, that we really work very, very hard with developers to make changes and everything. But when stuff is done without any kind of approval, that's kind of the stuff that we don't do in this burg. So it just as noted that when there's a plan, stick to it and not jump the gun, because I've been doing this stuff for quite a while, and that was one of the first times I ever saw it done. And then when it comes down the second time, and don't want to be on a soapbox, but on the other hand, you do try to do what's supposed to be done. And so just a note to you guys with the engineers, you're a very well thought of firm, and you kind of need to keep a leash out there, I think. But anyway, we are going to have a public hearing, so anybody in the public that would like to speak, please come forward at this time. In hearing none, I'll close the public hearing, and we don't have any waivers, so I think we just approve as amended. Am I correct?
No.
I-
I will make a motion that we waive the reading of the findings of fact.
I'll
I
sec-
never even saw findings of fact.
Well, they,
There,
There are.
There-
I'll second that regardless of.
Yeah.
whether or not, we saw them, they need to be there, so.
I have them. I don't know what happened with the uploading.
Yeah,
but
I didn't see them.
We
I
will
was looking
figure
for
that
them
out.
today. So anyway, we have a motion to waive the reading of the findings of fact. Do I hear a second?
I did. I seconded that.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
All in favor? Okay,
I will make a motion that we adopt the findings of fact as written.
A second.
But where are they?
Carla has them.
There,
I'm really
Christina,
Yeah.
can you help me out? I don't know where they are. I sent the
Our
review.
document, Carla, our document, at least the one I have, is 101 pages.
yeah.
So maybe, what do you,
I can quickly read through the findings if you'd like. They're the usual standards, and they've all been met.
Carla, is there any change to the prior
No.
findings of fact?
No, none of them have changed because you're still finding that everything, for example, one of the findings was the amendment does not change the access or circulation plan. The location of 5 parking spaces is modified slightly, but the number of spaces is unchanged. That's really the only one that changed.
So, I mean, we've already approved the findings of fact materially, in my opinion, but
I agree with Josh, and I second the motion to accept.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor? Okay, and
I will make a motion that we approve, the site plan amendment for the Grange Hall at Longwoods Preserve to revise building, parking, shed, and bathroom locations located at 76 Longwoods Road, tax assessor map R03, lot 6A, and map R03, lot 13. Subject to, and you might have to help me here, Carla, the limitation of approval, the standard condition of approval, and the
only proposed condition related to the amendments is that the amendments shall be finalized approval by the town engineer, local plumbing inspector, and fire chief prior to issuance of occupancy permit. So this will get them all the way through to that. But it's a catch just to make sure that with the changes, they were caught by those people.
and the single proposed condition of approval.
do I hear a second?
Okay, a second.
Okay, any more discussion?
I just have a process clarification question maybe for Carla. I mean, we don't approve the location of a walk-in freezer. I mean, that's a temporary structure, and we don't have say over where that goes. Is that correct?
No, you do.
We do.
You do. You approve
Because it's on the map?
anything that's shown on the physical earth. Nothing inside the buildings, but everything that's a footprint outside is part of a site plan review. So the propane tank, the freezer, the pizza oven,
Okay.
all those things.
Because we had talked about like structures before, like statues, and that is a physical footprint that would be embedded in the earth. And so we know that we don't have say over that. So I was like, well, if it's a temporary freezer, do we really have say over that?
So the definition of a structure, and it's kind of embarrassing that I know this offhand, is anything built for the support, enclosure, or shelter of people, things, or animals, something along those lines, the code officer would. So it's anything so a patio isn't a structure, because it's flat and there's nothing around,
Okay.
okay? But something like a fence is a structure. Something like a propane tank isn't a structure, because it's enclosing the propane. Does that help?
Sure,
Understand
sure.
how we look at it?
Okay. Because so that has to stay where our plan says, where the plan says it's going to be until they come back and ask for it to be moved on the site.
The propane tank?
No, the freezer.
Oh, the freezer, that's part of this change.
Yeah.
That's
But if
approved.
it moves again, they
Oh,
have to come
yes.
back to planning board. Okay, got it.
Yes, and it's, that
Before
bears,
they move it.
Before you move.
that bears repeating. Any future
Echoing Peter's earlier
changes,
comments.
Okay,
the
okay.
future changes must be discussed
Got it.
prior to making them.
Got it.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
So any other discussion?
Thank you.
All in favor? Opposed? Congratulations and good luck. Keep it going.
I believe you're looking for, did you say a soft opening in June? And we let people know when this is going to happen?
We will definitely let the community know.
All right. Great, thank you.
Okay, any other administrative matters or new business? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second?
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor? We're adjourned. Under an hour.
Carl, I'm glad you knew that definition. That's
Isn't that
good.
impressive?
Shouldn't be embarrassed. You
30 years of my life. Send you the.
It's different.
Oh, you should.
It's different than
It's different, right, 'cause it's commercial.
you're not subject to
Yeah.
site plan.
Well,
It's the same thing as subdivision.
If it somehow gets
The
saved.
plan is an integral part.
well, I think with,
Planners review the green.
It's on the plan. And so this is where, like subdivision guy, here's the other piece that's really, like if you,
Oh, I know I had
Notes.
it, I remember
Yeah.
Like if-
merging it all together.
like, and we don't scrub the
Just don't
notes
know
very
why
good,
the
but the
upload
engineer's better, because
through.
if there's anything, like if you ever look at plan sets, there's a really teeny letter and there's
Right.
Paul was
like
starting to talk about
47
the
Yeah.
notes
sites
on the
and
right side.
Yeah.
All of that
We're
is-
supposed to have been
like,
pulled.
if they
Remember
say
Jeff
something
brought
about